Welcome to our Teamwork Connect Live Q&A. Happy Monday. Hope everybody had a great weekend. And as always, we're here to kick off your week with some great information on some of our local businesses and chamber members, and let you know kind of some cool things that people are doing in our communities. So today we have my sweet friend, Dr. Dimitri Arfanakis from Douglas Dental Care. Hey, Dimitri.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you? It's Monday.
Not too bad.
Yes,
It
and
is
somewhere,
Monday.
I'm totally going to call her out, but somewhere hiding is his sweet wife, Katie. And maybe she'll make a cameo. Or maybe not.
She's on the other side here.
I hear her laughing. Hey. Well, thanks for joining us today. I know you guys have opened up a couple weeks ago to the public and started accepting new patients or accepting, appointments. Mm-hmm. So we've done a lot, I would say some, but it's been a lot of new and different things to make sure your office is safe and secure and that your patients feel good about coming there. So we're going to talk about that. But first, let's start off with something kind of, off the wall and a little, I think it's interesting. So we're just going to entertain me, if anything. Okay. So I usually try and ask some kind of random question or something. So I want to know what kind of toothpaste do you use personally?
Personally, I use just about any toothpaste. You're not going to hear this too often, but most toothpaste, whether it's Colgate or Crest or this or that, they all are about the same. I like, when I recommend to patients, it's the one they're going to use. Unless they have a specific problem. If they have sensitive teeth, well, maybe they get some Sensodyne. If they build up tartar a bit more than most other people, maybe get tartar control. But bottom line is, I just like to use a toothpaste. It really doesn't matter which one it is.
Cool. Okay, so what about the kid toothpaste? Because I can tell you my least favorite toothpaste is the blue one that's like really sticky and gummy that goes everywhere in my bathroom for my 6-year-old.
You're not the first person to complain about that. The thing is, those toothpaste, they don't have the cleaning potential that the adult ones do, but they focus more on taste when it comes to the kids' toothpaste. And they do make it a little stickier on purpose, so that way any fluoride that's in it kind of sticks around a little bit longer than regular toothpaste.
Got it. And to my countertops, so.
And your countertops.
Cool. Well, okay. Well, thank you. See, I didn't know that. And they always do all sorts of different kind of flavored things for kids. I know with Avery went and got his teeth cleaned a couple weeks ago, and they have like all these fluoride options, and the polish, he got like crazy thing. And I'm like, I'll just have mint. But he got like cotton candy or something ridiculous. I was like, just sounds good.
That'll get the kids going. Right? That's the key.
Got it. So before we get into kind of the business side, how have you and Katie been, navigating all the things COVID at home with the kids and now back at work, and how's it been going?
I thought the kids did real well, during this whole thing. There were days where they would just wanted to get out, and we did take walks or went to Sweetwater. We did do a decent number of little activities to keep us all busy. But the kids did pretty well. I have to say, Katie probably wants to spend a little more time outside, or wanted to. We're venturing out a bit more.
Yeah.
So I think that's, each day it's getting a little bit better. People feel a little more confident. It's important to know that you shouldn't get overconfident, but, confident is a good way to look at it. We can't be afraid of, this thing.
Yeah.
It is manageable. We just have to be smart about how we go about doing our business.
Yeah. I completely agree. Yeah. And I saw, I'm friends with both of y'all on Facebook. I saw you guys did some cool things like a virtual 5K, and, wasn't Hudson had a drive-by birthday?
Yeah, it was his birthday back in May, and he was kind of bummed that he wasn't going to have a regular birthday party.
Mhm.
But I'm sure every other kid that had a May birthday had the same problem.
Yeah.
But Katie came up with a great idea and to have a drive-by birthday, so that was a lot of fun, and he was really excited once we kind of kept it a secret for a while until I think the day of, and
Mhm.
then he really got really happy, and once everyone started coming and saying hello. He was just so happy to pass out the ice cream because that was what was drawing a lot more people in was that that ice cream, and the kids loved it.
Oh, fun. Well, I'm glad. I know you're like me. You're glad. We saw each other out at lunch a couple weeks ago, so I know everybody's definitely glad to be, safely kind of migrating back into what we're all dealing with now, the new normal. Even though I don't like those words, I still that's what it is. So,
It
um,
is.
yeah, and it's crazy because I mean, it's just so unpredictable. And, I mean, I saw somebody today and it was one of those like, are you going to fist bump or elbow or, you know, hug?
Maybe eventually. We've been doing the elbow thing for a while.
Yeah.
I think someone's bringing back the dab. We'll see.
I know. I will never forget, like, right when all of this started, we did our Douglas County Day at the Capitol, and we were down at the Capitol, and you see all these state representatives and House of Reps, state reps, and senators, and they're all like, "Oh, what's up?" And I'm like, it's just, they're usually so serious, and I don't
Mhm.
know. This bump seems so casual, but it is what it is, right? So, tell me about work. So you guys went back 3 weeks ago?
March, no, I'm sorry, May 18th was our first day back. That was on a Monday. And what we did at that point, we had all these plans. We had been planning for weeks beforehand how we were going to come back. And I was obviously tempted to kind of come back kind of at full strength, but we decided, it'd probably be best to work at about half capacity.
Mhm.
Um, just to make sure all the plans that we had put in place were working properly. There weren't any kinks, and that things were running smoothly. And we did that for about 2 weeks, and kind of rotating staff back and forth just to kind of make sure that they don't feel overwhelmed with some of the changes. Although there weren't that many changes. More of the changes were on the technology side, and I'll kind of get into why there weren't a whole lot of changes in a little bit. But we did about 2 weeks, like I said, of kind of half capacity, and since
Mhm.
June 1st, we've been kind of right back at where we were during since we closed back in March. We had to cancel, and this is just cleaning appointments, over 1,000 cleaning appointments.
What?
And so that was like I've never seen anything like that. When sometimes you might have to cancel 1 or 2 days for one reason or another, but but after a while you say 1,000. I mean, that's a lot
Mhm.
of cleaning appointments, and it's not the end of the world. But you want to get people back on track and making sure that nothing's popped up, because the cleanings are important, but the checkups that we're doing are probably even more important to a certain degree, kind of assessing the overall um, page, what's going on overall in someone's mouth.
Yeah. So, 1,000 appointments, that's insane. So you were in a business. So when the chamber closed, we were able to work from home.
Hmm.
Obviously being a dentist, you and your staff, you can't be in operation. So, how did you fill your time, and what were you, I mean, I know, because we were kind of
Hmm.
communicating back and forth a couple of times, but how did you fill your time when you guys were in quarantine, as far as from a business perspective?
Yeah, so um, we had emergency appointments basically once a week, and unless it was dire and someone was in pain. If someone was in pain, we called them up, try to figure out, kind of triage over the phone, and see if we can kind of figure out if we can manage the pain until we got them in and I think our Wednesdays were our day. No, Wednesday or Thursday. Thursday was our emergency day. So if someone called on a Sunday or a Monday, we would try to triage it until they could come in, whether it's get them an antibiotic or a painkiller or whatever it was that needed to get done. I don't think I personally didn't have to come in. Maybe I was lucky, but I think Dr. Ha and Dr. Tidwell did have to come in once during those other days to kind of fix something that someone was going through.
Got it. Well, that's good. But yeah, I know. I mean, that's just, my mom works at a dentist office, like not in Douglas County. And she did the same thing. She was like, I'm just sitting at home. I mean, she does front office. She's like, I can't do my work from here. So once they kind of got all the patients, canceled, they were, just kind of hanging out, waiting to come back. So it's a crazy thing. In my head, because my world, I was 90 miles an hour. I was faster and crazier than I am in normal chamber world. So crazy. So okay, so I see you've got all sorts of fun little gadgets behind you. What's that all about? Tell me.
All right, so when we were trying to figure out what we needed to do, if there was anything to do, and as we were reading things from the CDC, from the ADA, from the Georgia Dental Association, from the Department of Health, but we looked at just about everything, and we started to kind of coalesce. What are they looking for? What do they want us to do? And we came to find out, even before the pandemic happened, we were already doing the things they're recommending now. And so we were kind of ahead of where, I guess, what the requirements were or the recommendations were. And so, we were already kind of covered. But I always believe, if you're not ahead, you're behind. That's my mentality. And so what I was looking at is saying, okay, what is it that we can permanently put in into our systems that would have an effect in making sure that we're that much cleaner, that much more conscious of infection control. We looked at the protocols first to see what we were doing, and they're really we still haven't changed much as far as protocols are concerned. Yes, we are asking people questions before they come in, but as far as the gadgets are concerned, there's several different things that we did, but I'm just going to show the three main ones, and one of them is right here, the Santa cart. This Santa cart has got it's filled with liquid inside, and this actually, essentially, for lack of a better word, the technical term is atomize, but it's basically fogging rooms. And so, after every patient, as a general rule, we always disinfect. We go through the whole 9 yards, remove plastic, put new plastic barriers on. We do all those things. But what if, for whatever reason, we missed a spot? Well, at the end of the day, we're catching everything with this Santa cart. Like I said, it fogs the entire room up. It actually comes into once you see it actually working, it actually fogs into the hallway as well. So you're getting every nook and cranny that you may or may not have missed. And so I'm assuming they don't miss anything, but we're all human, but we're trying to make sure we're breaking the chain of infection, bottom line. And so this was kind of a neat little gadget. And the best part of this is right here in Marietta, Georgia. It's
cool.
Made there and sold there. So one of the things I always look for is, how do we find things that are more local or family owned? So those are my two big things, that even when we were building our facility, we wanted to make sure that we were either getting something that was family owned the best that we could, or it was as locally owned as possible. So we were really happy with that. And there's other things that are available, but the particle size that they atomize is a specific size, and that specific size is actually what's going to create that infection control.
Got it.
So
So do you run it? Sorry, do you like run it every time a patient leaves, or do you like how often do you?
Not every time. So there's a smell that's associated with it. It kind of almost smells like pool water. You know, when you treat the pool, and it's kind of strong. And so we don't do it after every patient because otherwise we wouldn't be able to handle it, and neither would any patients. But we do it. We run it at the end of the day, and we run them in all the treatment rooms. We run them in the restrooms as well, and then our infection control or our sterilization center as well. So those three areas right there. So we like it. You know, we can definitely tell that it's hitting just about every spot that you could possibly hit in a room. So we feel real good about that.
Nice. What's next? It's
like Christmas. For me, it's like Christmas.
I know.
All right, so let me get this thing here. This thing is called an air scrubber, and we put these. We have 4 HVAC units, and we put them in each one of the HVAC units, and it does 2 things. One, it's got a UV light, which we've got plenty of supply and returns for air circulation, and we did that in a specific way when we built the facility, but we've added these in there, and the UV light will kill any pathogens, 99.99% of all pathogens that pass through there. The other thing it does is it ionizes the air. It's got what's called a dual ionizer, and the dual ionizer, what that does is it pushes out charged particles, and the idea is as it's circulating through the whole facility, any particles, and it could be as simple as some dust, it could be as simple as whether it's mold, whether it's viruses or bacteria, it actually hits it. When it hits it, it forces it to fall to the ground. And so that does 2 things. One, it gets it out of the air and it falls to the ground. The other thing it does is it keeps it from getting recirculated again. And so all that air that does get circulated is fresh air. It actually puts less stress on our HVAC systems too. So it should make it so that we don't have to change our filters as much either. So that's a real good thing too. And there's different varieties, but this one in particular was developed at NASA. And I figured, once I read the research and so forth, having the NASA label on there, it's pretty effective.
Yeah. I mean, if NASA's using it, then
that's how I feel about it.
I was gonna ask how you found all of your gadgets. Like, was it through networks with other dentists or just research? Both
research and talking to some other networks. There's a lot of chatter. I try to stay away from the networks. Just in general. I did talk to local dentists around here and see what their ideas were on, and we've kind of talked a little bit about it. But I also try to stay away from that. I like to do kind of independent research and spend that time really analyzing what works and what doesn't work. And the idea is, again, to do something that's permanent. We're not going to do this for the next 4 to 6 months, because what happens, God forbid, if there's another pandemic down the road, what are we doing for the long term, not just for the short term?
Yeah. I mean, and we've been, on the chamber side, we've been doing the same thing. We started up all this virtual programming, and everybody's like, well, when is it going to stop? And I'm like, why would we stop it? Like, we've gotten whole new relationships that we've developed. So it's great that it's very strategic. And isn't it crazy? I mean, my whole thought behind a lot of things that have happened are there those things where it probably should have happened a while ago, but then when you're forced into an environment where you're like, okay, if I need to keep my business going, I've got to do something. It's the push stuff kind of mentality, but then it ends up doing wonderful things. It ends up making your business even more innovative. And safe and sanitary, which obviously in your line of work is huge. So cool. You have another one, right?
I got one more.
Yay.
I figured 3 would be plenty to
That's
talk
perfect.
about. So this here, it says Xyrus on there, but the product name, that's the name of the company. Xyrus is the name of the company, but it's called Isolite. And so this is a little, essentially a mouth prop that also has a web towards the back of the mouth that's very comfortable. And patients have actually done really well with it. I was a little concerned with some of my gagger patients, and they've actually done really well too. So I'm really excited about this because what that does is it isolates the back of the mouth from where I'm working. And so it also has suction that's going on. At the same time, it's got a light in it, and it keeps people's mouths open as well. And so we're getting kind of everything in there that we need to actually, it makes the procedure a lot faster. Patients really like that. I like that too. And so it keeps the tongue kind of retracted and kind of out of the way. And the whole point of that is, COVID, when they do the testing, they're going through the nose into the back of the oropharynx. And so, or the nasopharynx. So everything's kind of in the back of the throat. So this is a way for us to kind of isolate our area. So that way we're protecting our staff too, not just, our patients, but also our staff. And so it's a great piece of equipment. It was expensive, but it was well worth it. I really like it. And I think for sure that this is going to be kind of a long-term thing. Dr. Tidwell says the same thing. He noticed how much better he could do his dentistry as well, or easily I should say. He was really excited about it as well when he started using it.
Very cool. So is Katie going to come on and do a demo of it?
Is she? She's laughing, but no. She's shaking her head no.
Oh my gosh, if she would have done it, I would have been very impressed. I know she's a challenge person, but
she is my most challenging patient for sure.
Wait, and this is like side note. She lets you work on her now though, right? She used to not.
She does. Well, no, she's always let me, but she's definitely my most challenging patient. We'll leave it at that.
Oh, but as I tell my 6-year-old, it's a good thing she's cute, right?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Cool. So you guys are up and running. What are your regular hours of operation? And are you accepting patients? I'm sure, yes.
We are accepting new patients, but we are prioritizing our existing patients because we do have a backlog, especially on the cleaning side. Now, if someone's in pain, we'll find a way to get them in. If they're a new patient, I don't want anybody that's in pain to have to go without treatment of any sort. But as long as everyone's patient, eventually we'll get them on there. And right now our hours are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 o'clock. We do have a 1-hour lunch break in there from 1 to 2. We've added extra hygiene hours to try to catch up the best that we can. If all things go well, and we'll cross our fingers, if all things go well, we should be able to catch up by the end of August.
Wow.
But it's going to take a little effort, but we'll see how it goes. But right now, thanks to my awesome staff, they're kicking it up a gear. So if they were working 4 days a week, now they're working 5 days a week. If they were working 3 days a week, they're doing 4 or 5 days a week. Everyone's pitching in to help get people back on track. Because the other thing is we don't want people to lose their opportunity to get that extra cleaning in for the year.
Yeah.
Because they are paying for that service, and we want to make sure that we make every attempt to getting them in and be able to get those two cleaning appointments.
Yeah. And I mean, who doesn't love getting their teeth? I love getting my teeth cleaned. I think it's great.
I love getting that too. So
you finish and then you're like, wait, I always feel like when they floss, I'm like, was I doing that bad of a job? But Anyway, cool. So I just want to take a quick minute we've got a couple of minutes left, but kind of a shout out and thank you. I know you guys are so involved in the community and so willing to help, whether it's, I know you guys donated toothbrushes for a project that we did through a program. You are constantly participating in any kind of drive, like food drive, clothes drive. And I know it's not just, I know it's you and I know it's your team, but I know like your employees have kind of rallied behind that. So, do you want to talk a little bit about, kind of a couple of the ways that you guys are involved in the community too? Because I think that's awesome. Offices do that.
Yeah, we're, obviously we're a dental office, and we have a certain expertise. And so we want to share that with people, especially with kids. We do focus as much as we can on kids because most of the things that we do in dentistry is preventable. Believe it or not, we do try to put ourselves out of business is what I try to say. About 60% of the work that each dentist does it is probably preventable, these cavities. How preventable, that's an open question, but it is preventable. And so not that the adults don't matter, but I'm trying to get ahead of it to help prevent cavities from forming and needing, either fillings or crowns or bridges or root canals or worst case scenario, having a tooth removed. I really don't want anyone to lose their teeth, and I want to have them keep them as much as they possibly can. And so we do spend a lot of time going to the different schools in Douglas County, talking to the kids, all age groups, whether it's, I think the last thing that we did was over at Georgia Highlands behind us. And they had the middle schoolers come in and talk about, it was career day. And, we did talk about the career of the dental field or the dental profession, but we also talked about how to prevent things from happening. And they were real receptive. I think it was all the middle school kids in Douglas County came. And I didn't get to spend a lot of time with them, but I think I, got through to a few of them. As to how important it is for hygiene, oral hygiene, to be a part of their lives.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Well, I know you guys are awesome, and I know I know a lot of friends of mine have, and chamber members. They use you guys, and we appreciate one, all that you do within our community. Two, that you support local businesses, because I think that's hugely important, and you have the choice to do that or to not. So I think that's great. Even if it's not a Douglas County business, like using Marietta, staying in the state as much as you can is awesome. So just thanks for all of that. And we'll make sure in the chats below to put your information if people do want to reach out to you about utilizing your services, things that you guys are doing too, as far as like check-in procedures and things like that, to make sure that your patients are safe. So that this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as all of the different measures that you guys are taking there. So it's been great talking to you. Anything else?
Well, thank you for having us. I'm sorry?
I just said any final remarks. You were about to do it, so go for it.
I'm very thankful for you guys giving us the opportunity to talk a little bit about some of the things that we do. By no means are these things the only things that we do. We have a very good foundation. We've already started from a very good foundation, and we're just building on that. Every generation of dentists should be doing a little bit better and a little bit better to get to that perfect dentistry that we're all striving for.
Perfect. And that's why you'll be successful, because you're not just going by the flow, you're sustaining your business. So thumbs up if it means anything for me. And I also learned today, especially I'm getting rid of that stuff. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and everybody be sure to tune in next Monday. We have Pastor James Harper from First Presbyterian Church and Pastor Matt McGee from One Community Church. Or Cumberland Community Church. I always say the wrong name. And they're going to kind of talk to us about, that's a huge those are churches and faith-based organizations have had to pivot total, I mean, if you can't go into a church, how do you reach your people, and how do you still spread the word, I guess. So we're going to talk about some cool ways that they have navigated all of that. So again, Dimitri, Katie behind the scenes, thank you guys. Hope we get to see everybody soon, or face to face soon, and y'all have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.